Hello there and welcome to Impact. I'm Darieth Chisholm. Thanks so much for being here with us today. Of course, the world has been agonizing in trying to deal with the Virginia Tech shooting, and as we continue to look at what happened and why it happened, we also would like to take time to analyze, if it is such thing, analyze the mind of the killer, Seung-Hui Cho, who has become very people are obviously very concerned about what happened, and so we're joined today with Department of Psychology Professor Dr. Zahida Chaudhary, along with his wife Zahida Chaudhary of the Muslim community of Greater Pittsburgh, to talk more about that, but to also talk about peaceful resolutions and ways to look at mental health. So we've got a big, several things that we're going to talk about here on Impact today. But Dr. Chaudhary, if we could go back and consider what happened here. Obviously, the state of the shooter in relation to the Virginia Tech shooting, we now know that he had mental health issues, and unfortunately perhaps some of that went through, it escaped a number of people in terms of having him get some help early on. And now people are asking why. Why wasn't he helped early on? And how is it that his behavior, while recognized, went unnoticed and led up to this?
Well, Daria, thanks for having us on the show. I want to kind of comment on both. There are such great issues close to my heart, having been in practice for more than 25 years now. One of the things is that we have a beautiful world, and we have a beautiful landscape of people. People do get stressed out, as you know, we all do. But it's important to be able to recognize when and where and how that happens. It just does not happen overnight. And then often we have the eyes and the abilities to detect that and be able to do some preventive care. Unfortunately, within the landscape today, we are beginning to have diminished resources for preventive care. Only when things go wrong, just like when we have a heart attack, we do something about that. Not before, so that we can watch our smoking, our cholesterol, our diet, our exercise. So in this gentleman who we are calling as the killer, I really feel bad and have compassion for everyone, including him and his family. And there could have been a number of things which could have been done to do preventive care. Be able to talk to him about what was disturbing him, have enough resources that a person can be recognized, treated, and adequately attended to. And unfortunately, that did not happen.
In this case, we have learned that doctors, of course, did see him, declared him mentally ill, and however, determined that he was not an immediate threat. And rather than commit him, a judge allowed him to receive outpatient services, which they're not quite sure that he did. And so, in that case, is it a possible solution in terms of treating mental illness to determine that someone obviously is not a threat, but may be seen outpatient and may have their issues adequately handled that way? Well, or should they be committed, I guess is the question.
Well, it really is the balance of civil liberties and our capacity to save people from harming themselves and others. Well, there was a time when people could be committed for the lowest level of degree of some suspicion. That wasn't right either. I think that the pendulum has swung the other way around, where people who need treatment desperately, due to our very protective laws of civil liberty, really are not getting treatment. So in my opinion, I think that we have to find that fine balance of protecting society, individuals, and people's sanity. And I think that this is a clear example of that.
And I know that a lot of your work also, as it relates to trying to bridge the gaps of people and to look at ways that communities can work together as opposed to working separately, is helping people to understand what it means to have tolerance. And not just with those people who may be mentally challenged, but with all different diversity, religions, and that it's so very important to find peaceful resolutions even in the midst of not understanding someone else's differences.
That is so true. You hit a beautiful chord of life. I think that we tend to erect jails and prisons and asylums, and those walls really do not protect anything except an illusion at best. I believe that people inherently are beautiful, inherently are just the sufferings and pains are part of life. But inherently, if you look at springtime as an example, Daria, I'm kind of going on a different tangent for a second. We have all different colors of beautiful things emerge from an apparently kind of cold, clammy earth. So our earth is inhabited by beautiful people of different colors, shapes, forms, races, and religions. If we begin to see them not as a threat, but as a community of flowers and beautiful human beings, then we are able to understand them better. Unfortunately, we have such a prejudiced, judgmental minds as we grow up. We begin to see, blacks and whites and reds and colors and yellows and all that as different. They're all the same.
And some of the work that you do, Zahida, at the Muslim Community Center is to help to bridge those gaps as well, correct?
Exactly. Actually, I started past whole year. I am working as an education secretary, and the purpose of doing that is mostly involving the adults, also the children, and I'm trying to invite many people to deliver lectures, good speakers, not only the religious aspect, but also, like in the past last week, what we did was the alcohol addiction prevention in the community. I arranged that with collaboration with Coalition for Human Dignity, which me and my husband both are working on it. I am a liaison between MCCGP, which is Muslim Community Center, and the coalition, and we worked on prevention of alcohol and drugs prevention in the community. So I arranged lectures, we had a workshop, we tried to educate children about it. So it's a combination of how we are trying to train children and to educate them regarding the effects of not only alcohol and drugs, but also the tolerance, patience, and how you can be a useful member of the society.
Well, we obviously are talking about a number of different topics here as it relates to, and I guess they all would go under the heading tolerance. And we're talking about mental illness, understanding the difference between that, the work that you're doing at the Muslim Community Center, and bridging the gaps, if you will, in the differences in our society. Before we go to break, we've got some tape we want to run for you, so if we could take that, and then we'll see you on the other side of the break with more conversation with the Chaudhary. Stay with us.
It's unfortunate that many Americans seem to discover my faith after 9/11. Islam has been around for 1,400 years. Perhaps our community is part of the problem that we didn't reach out before 9/11. Like so many other ethnic and religious minorities tend to isolate in America. We have clusters and pockets of faith groups and ethnic groups that stick to themselves. One lesson we all learned as Americans after 9/11 is that we have to get to know each other better. We have to communicate better. We have to dialogue better so that we don't stereotype. Every community has a problem with stereotyping. Every community wishes that they can dispel some myth that's out there. And our community is no different. The deviants that we have in our faith are not unusual to other faiths. It just so happens that there's a spotlight right now on our community. But the more our neighbors in Pittsburgh and in Pennsylvania and in America get to know who we are, get familiar with our beliefs and our customs and our cultures, understand our love for this land and our willingness to sacrifice too, then they will have a better appreciation of who Muslims are, what the Islamic faith is, and that will go to a long way in dispelling the myths that are out there.
Islam is a 20th century phenomenon, and it's in America. The first indigenous mosque ever built in the United States was built right here in Pittsburgh. Al-Awwal, the first. It sits right there on Center Avenue to this day. So it's people just, like I said, the history is not taught. When the first mosque built by indigenous Americans sits right here in this city and has been here since 1929, and nobody asks that question, then you have to understand how the educational system lacks in teaching about Muslims and the educational system of this city. This should be a landmark. People should investigate it. Because African Americans have been present as Muslims in this city from slavery on and began to reorganize in the 20th century. We've been here and we've been good citizens. Had good neighbors. That's what's been missed. It's not that we're some new phenomenon.